You're back. Welcome. CLG are looking to string together some more wins with their completed roster as their opponent Evil Geniuses are hoping to gain some more momentum ahead of our mid-season showdown. Azale, it's good to be here. We are going to be here for however many games we have. We've got 2 on the docket, but there's potentially 2 bonus games around the corner as well.
Yeah, that could be very exciting if we get tiebreakers, but we'll focus on the match at hand first. EG already locked into 6th place as of yesterday, so their place in playoffs is secure. They're just kind of waiting to find out who they will be playing, potentially after that first round. Of course, they would have to wait for their opponent after that in that lower bracket. But then, when we look over at some of the games they've had recently and them moving forward towards playoffs, it's been really refreshing to see EG willing to play around Jizuke, willing to play around what is a pretty unique champion pool for him. I am a big believer in doubling down on your team's strengths instead of trying to fit into what you believe the current meta is or what other teams perhaps are doing. We've seen him on champions like Nico, Echo, Ryze, LeBlanc, these champions that aren't super popular right now, but that he has had a lot of success on, and I think really fit his playstyle because they're all champions that can have the ability to push, to roam, to be able to attack side lanes, make proactive plays on his own, and I think that's really where this player does shine because he likes to play the game aggressively, he wants to play in the face of his opponents, and he's just as able to do it so much more when he's on these types of picks compared to, an Orianna or an Azir, where he's kind of more locked into a slower laning phase and then team fighting.
Yeah, Jizuke's total influence on the map as a player is pretty outstanding. He's got a ton of solo kills, was tagged with perk at some point coming into this weekend. His 4% is massive. He's just the kind of player that even on something like Ryze, which is not something you think of necessarily as a super aggressive champion, he's doing what you say, getting out of his lane and affecting other regions of the map in order to give EG the advantages they need. Tristana going to be banned away, starting to be a champion that probably needs to receive a bit more attention. Also, Pobelt is going to lose his favorite marksman, Lucian, as that one's going to get taken off the board as well.
CLG has had a lot of success with these double marksman comps. Pobelter has played 4 games on Lucian. He's won 3 out of 4 of those, and they have 4 wins total since he's come back in, right? So it's really been mostly about the Lucian for him. We saw yesterday it got banned away from him, and I think teams are going to continue to ban these away until CLG shows something else that they really need to fear in the draft. They do have that 1 win on Victor, so that's something working for them, but really it's been about double marksman. It's about their ability to pressure in lane, so I think EG pretty smart here with first round bans.
Yeah, also Kai'Sa getting banned, so cool to see that. AD also getting taken off the board. All that banned for Evil Geniuses. And hilariously enough, for all the unique champions, it is actually Orianna banned away from Jizuke here on CLG's Phase 1 alongside Lilia, who's probably the best jungler that's often left up. But Orianna does help stuff like Rel, stuff like Hecarim, which maybe EG are considering picking here. So it is interesting to see CLG say, we don't want to give Jizuke the champion that enables his teammates more. We're maybe more willing to give him a champion that enables him a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. I like to see him playing that style, but it's not necessarily something that CLG are worried about. So they are going to be banning that out. They grab themselves a really powerful top jungle duo here. Udi are going to go completely undrafted. Normally a champion that is banned out very, very frequently is getting through more on 11.5, but going to go unpicked. As CLG will be prioritizing playing around Finn here, who I think has been a standout for CLG. I think he's been really solid. Even prior to Brox and Pobelter coming in, I've been impressed with him quite a lot at times. And we're going to see how well they can actually pair up, because when you're going for the Renekton in Italy, you need to have that top jungle synergy. You need to be playing aggressive. You need to be punishing your opponents. And Impact is going to be on the Gnar, which is a fairly safe pick in that 1v1. But when you bring in the Nidalee, if you have the wave stacked properly, there's always going to be the opportunity to dive. And Hecarim plus Gnar is not exactly a 2v2 that EG is going to want to be taking into this Nidalee Renekton.
Yeah, Impact going to have to absorb a lot of pressure, you have to think. Also taking Renekton there, blocking Impact from playing that champion, which has probably been his most individual impactful champion, at least early on in the game. Impact obviously very good at surviving and then playing for the team when the game rolls on later. Rel, though, does get through as a result, so EG happy to take that one here for Ignar.
Yeah, the Renekton, as you mentioned, as well as the Gnar, those are the 2 most played by far for Impact, but he's had way more success actually on the Renekton. He's played 8 games of each. This would be his 9th Gnar game. 75% win rate on Renekton, 37.5 on the Gnar. So hasn't been nearly as successful, has been absolutely dominant when he has gotten the Croc. We'll see if he's able to withstand the pressure here up in the top lane today. as Nautilus going to be locked in. So no marksmen have actually been locked in for either team, which is pretty atypical for drafts these days. You see a lot of early Kaisas, a lot of early Tristanas, these types of picks. But because some of those high prio picks were banned out, I'm curious to see if there's going to be more of an attack on that champion pool. Xayah now taken off the table. I mean, you could be just throwing constant bans down towards that bot lane, and we'd have to see where players are going to actually take us. Things like Caitlyn still up, Senna is still available, but as far as the ones that are the most popular, most of them are already kind of taken off the table.
Yeah, I think especially for Total and Smoothie had quite a lot of success being aggressive in their 2v2s. Actually looked pretty good as a duo as time has gone on for CLG, so kind of a lot of those more aggressive options already out, so we'll see what they default to. Azir, again, I think his demise was greatly exaggerated on day one because he's been picked up and been pretty successful, and also going to get a ban here alongside Syndra as EG kicked the ball back over to CLG for their 4th pick, and it is Samira, Total one of the few players to actually pilot this champion.
Interesting. So Samira coming through has not been popular at all. I know it was getting buffed on 11.6. Did it get buffed on 11.5? I can't remember because it was looking pretty dead and competitive after the initial round of nerfs came through where you couldn't actually dash to your allied minions or even your allies at all. So I'm going to double check on that as we go into game. But that will be the answer here for Wild Turtle. One of the most played for him this split. He had 4 on Kaisa, on Xayah, as well as on Samira. So we'll be grabbing that up, and it is an aggressive duo there for them. Jizuke going to get his signature Ryze, so I already like this. Something that could perhaps influence the side lanes, maybe be able to either protect Impact or turn around that lane up there on that top side.
And looks like Jhin, maybe?
Okay.
I guess EG thinking about their options here, but it is going to be Jhin locked in. So Jhin Rel up against Samira Nautilus, not the most common 2v2.
No. I mean, generally speaking, you see more of kind of like the divers alongside the Rel, but there is a tremendous amount of CC that you can actually chain here with the Rel, plus the Jhin. Obviously, the Rel can go in, set up for a guaranteed route. You can stun out of that. You can land these combos and try to layer them effectively to really be powerful. And this is going to be interesting. Looks like it's going to be Renekton Flex mid, and they're going to go Aurelia top into the Gnar. So really cool, actually. Putting that up there for Finn in the top lane, the counter pick to the Gnar. A very difficult matchup there for Impact. So this is going to be exciting stuff here. I'm less sure about how the Renekton versus Ryze will go. I do feel like, in the early levels, it could be pretty good for Renekton, but generally in these bruiser matchups mid lane, they're picked into other melee champions. You pick them into things like Yone or Yasuo or whatever, and you could destroy a mid lane as a Renekton. But when you are against these casters, there's just not as much lane to work with as there is up in the top side where you can freeze the lanes and you can look for all-ins. It's such a short lane in mid that it's difficult to punish champions like Ryze. And once he gets some levels, gets some mana, I do expect Ryze to be able to have the push, to be able to play fairly safely and get an advantage. That being said, he's going to have to watch out for ganks because it is Renekton Nidalee still, whether it's in the mid lane or a top lane. You still have to watch out for that combo. So I wonder if we'll see cleanse taken as a result here from Jizuke just to try to answer that, because that combo alone is so devastating. There's really nothing you can do if you play TP against it.
That's a lot less individual power for Ryze, especially as the map opens up, but might be a necessary evil there for the genius there in mid lane. And indeed, he does respect the power and take cleanse in the mid lane. Of course, no more spellbook these days. They didn't have that option because Phase Rush is just so powerful. So I like it here. Pobelter's been kind of on one. I was going to say, like, there were so many control mages banned. I don't know what Pobelter wants to play. Oh my goodness, CLG in the mid lane already, flashing forward, and Jizuke, see you later. That is first blood for Finn in record time for CLG.
Oh my god, they just sprinted it straight down mid. Pre-40-second first blood onto Jizuke. And that is a disaster already for Impact, who now is going to have to go up against that first blood Aurelia. Of course, it does cost him a flash, so there is that working for him. It was 3 flashes, in fact, here from CLG, so we'll see if Svenskeren can do anything about punishing that, but just walk straight down mid. Wasn't expecting it. This is actually a really smart level 1. I mean, it looks funny. It's easy to criticize, but he ran straight mid as well. And instantaneously, as soon as they actually came out of fog and he had sight, the Nautilus flash hooked him. And at that point, it was pretty much just too late there for Jizuke. Gets locked up, triple flashed on, taken down, first blood for Aurelia.
Yeah, clearly loved it there for Jizuke, unfortunately. So Finn straight onto Impact as a result. That is a longsword and a corrupting potion to kick off the landing phase. So even as early as level 1, Impact is going to feel the pain. Well, it does get a grasp proc there. And again, especially Mini-Nav versus Aurelia, you do have the range advantage, but not much of an advantage when Aurelia can close the gap quite easily and stack up that passive and the Conqueror.
And I mean, Aurelia has really long melee range. You know, it's not some of those shorter champions. It actually is pretty deceptive. The one thing working for Impact is that Aurelia doesn't have flash, right? So the all-ins would be more difficult for Aurelia to actually pull off. So Impact will have to try to play around that. But of course, Longsword, a significant advantage. And Samira did get some buffs. I double-checked on 11.5. Nothing massive, but was some AD growth as well as some of the AD scaling on Q. So this isn't the fully dead Samira. Was rebuffed a little bit, but you know, not something that we've been really seeing in pro play much at all. So we'll see how effective it's going to be.
Yeah, it's not quite revived Samira. It's like exhumed Samira, right? It's kind of coming out of the grave, perhaps making its way back in, but we'll see. Turtle's certainly going to have some fun on the champion. As Brock's in mid lane. That's what we talked about. The cleanse is there, but Jizuke, no flash from earlier, already cleanses off. And now Brox is going to have to line up that Q because it's a solo mission right now, but level 3 versus level 3 has the blue as Svenskeren wanders over.
Okay, so nicely done from Jizuke, but the cleanse is still forced. So now you have no cleanse, no flash. And he was winning out in the duel against Pobelter here. Does have to be careful, but Svenskeren is behind him.
Not going to see him though, so Jizuke is going to continue to throw spells at Pobelter as Broxer will safely take these Raptors despite them being warded, and Finn TPing back instantly. Now has a Doran's Blade to go on top of all the other items there, but Finn, oh no, the mistiming there on the Q. Svenskeren gonna punish. There's the W, it still gets moved back in. The teleport up top side though, that should be POB coming in hot, and indeed it is. Can they get second blood? They're gonna line it up as Pobelter does grab it. Now Impact is gonna die as well, as that TP value is massive for Pobelter.
Oh, that's huge for Pobelter. He gets 2 kills and the red buff. Now down to the bot side, Ignar getting engaged on.
Wild Turtle getting aggressive there on the Samira, dashing in, but gets CC'd up in the front side as Smoothie does escort his AD out safely, but Turtle losing that trade.
Yeah, that just looked like a miscommunication up in the top side. You know, you see how Impact was playing that. He didn't want to chase, and Svenskeren was committing to it, perhaps thinking that he could actually just maybe trade out his life, get a kill here, and it would be worthwhile. But just watch. Impact is backing up as Svenskeren is going forward, right? And it forces Impact in this situation where he's like, all right, well, I guess I got to go in too. So he ends up flashing in to try to get the finish because his jungler did go down, and he does get the kill, but it just gives over another freebie there to Pobelter. And I think in that situation, Svenskeren just kind of pushing too far. You know, you want to get that kill, sure, but I think if you just back off immediately, it's still a win. You've still chunked the Aurelia, you forced out the mid TP, Jizuke can push out mid lane, and you just back it up, giving no kills over. Instead, we have Pobelter in this position now where he's going to be feeling pretty good.
And again, Finn still feeling that advantage individually, is going to try and continue to pressure up against Impact. Just holding on CS-wise, which is good, but Finn is just dancing over these waves. That death really not deterring the aggression as he pushes the wave in, but Impact going to scoop up a ton of CS here as he freezes the wave just about in the front of the tower. As Finn's going to maybe think about taking a recall, but just going to be patient here as he knows where Impact is, because all the caster minions are currently hitting him, as Smoothie looking for that roam here in mid, not going to recall.
It's always a bit dicey, those kind of freezes. I mean, Impact lost about half his health to get that freeze, and he did pop a potion, so he's going to regen a lot of this. We'll see if it's worthwhile. It is always a little bit risky, is getting pretty low there, and Finn will be able to reset, so you can't hold the wave again. It's just, you really have to respect the amount of damage that the caster minions are going to put out there, but at the very least, he did delay the base. Is going to be in a really rough spot. It's a tough matchup. You know, Aurelia started with first blood, and now got a couple more assists up on that top side, and Impact went down. So they're going to have to be really careful here. But EG trying to play behind Jizuke, trying to keep him safe. There is a CLG response, though, that has been spotted.
Yeah, Brock's a hero alongside Smoothie, so going to get out of there with relative ease. As we go back to the top side, Finn not quite that close to 6. That was the thing I was trying to look at earlier, because Finn maybe had an opportunity there, but was a bit behind in XP due to the death, I believe. So instead, it will be definitely an Ignar, as Ignar returns to the lane here to pressure Turtle in, and Smoothie returns from his expedition near the mid lane. As a result of the 4 kills we've had in 6 minutes, though, it is, funnily enough, Pobelter with the big lead there in mid lane now on Renekton. 2-0-1 as Turtle's going to dive in onto Deathly, but just a bit of poke there.
Jizuke, at the very least, has those summoners back, so he can play a little bit more aggressively now, or at least doesn't have to be as concerned about a potential death here. But Broxah still hovering around, going to be playing very heavily towards the top side, having these aggressive matchups that can punish, that want to play in their opponent's face. He's got to be playing topside almost exclusively. You've got to cover the Renekton, got to cover the Aurelia, because the way that they get advantages in lane is by playing aggressive, is by pushing and looking for dives. And now Pobelter has mid lane shove. He's going to move toward topside and potentially try to dive this Gnar. It's 3-man play here. Svenskeren is heading over, but it's not a level 6 Hecarim, so you wouldn't be able to do that much. Either way, though, because it's spotted, looks like CLG okay to give it up.
Yeah, I think the Mega Gnar was the big deterrent there for CLG, but they at least scooped the vision away. It's always good to see. It is nice to see CLG being proactive. I think they do have to be with these kind of picks. You don't flex Renekton and counter pick Aurelia to not play aggressive in the early game, and I do appreciate that CLG have kind of put that plan in motion from level 1. But Turtle would smoothly leave in the lane sometimes, and I think just naturally, with Samira being such a short-ranged, all-in style AD, is behind about 10 CS right now. Definitely an Ignar feeling pretty comfy here in the 2v2.
Looking pretty good up there. You can see Impact building for the situation. The straight Bramble Rush is the please let me farm build coming out there from the Gnar. It's not going to be a very fun time for him, as the wave also pushing away means he has to expose himself to a potential all-in here from the Aurelia, who is going to be rushing very likely towards what is a Blade of the Rune King. Just look for that 1v1 power, try to dominate in the side lanes here. Of course, Finn may be dealing with the Ryze later on, so going to have to keep that in mind as well.
All right, well, definitely roaming up. Actually, looks like the Rift Herald play is beginning for EG. Svenskeren already on it. That was the reason Finn wasn't going quite aggressive, although Broxah being caught by Definitely, but is it definitely being caught by Smoothie. Pobelter also roaming in, but who's going to miss the skill shot? Not POB, he doesn't have any as Ignar eats that Q from Nidalee, but no follow-up there for CLG.
That was actually really nicely done from Deftly. Sidestep both the spear as well as the hook, dodging back the opposite way, kind of towards his opponents, juking them out a little bit there. But at the same time, you can see Samira down in that bottom lane, going to be able to get a plate, going to be able to deny some of the experience in gold. EG will collect that Rift Herald up on the top side, and we'll see where they want to put that, because thus far I think the play is actually pretty darn good for CLG when you consider the lost experience on the bottom side, the additional CS and gold that Wild Turtle got from the first play, and the fact that it looks like they've gotten this dragon. But pretty clever actually from Jizuke, because they were concerned about the fact that CLG was laying a trap in the bottom side jungle. So Jizuke just walked down into their own jungle and realm warped his bot lane back to the tower safely.
Yeah, just kind of gave him a lift.
Really cool.
Real nice stuff there from Jizuke as Finn onto Impact he goes. Lands the ulti, doesn't land the stun because Impact with a great flash gets out from there, but now doesn't have it for the next all-in, and Finn is starting to snowball that lead ever so slowly.
Yep. As soon as you see Svenskeren down on the bottom side, he was spotted, I believe, on that pink. He just walked past right now, so didn't actually check the brush, and that spots him. So Finn's like, all right, well, I know everyone's down on the bottom side. I can see Ryze in mid lane. I can see the Hecarim down on the bottom lane. I got nothing to be worried about. So he goes for the all-in. He forces out the flash. Really well done from him, and we'll see if he can capitalize on that. Once his ultimate comes back up, he has that window before Gnar will have his flash. Well, he will have that ultimate, and that'll be a couple minutes, really, where he could look to punish, especially if he calls up his jungler. They have double flash and a really high chance of actually killing off Impact.
All right, we'll see us even up now for Turtle, thanks to some free time here in the 2v1, basically, getting some plates and getting some fun for himself. Blue buff going to get donated over to Jizuke as well, as definitely maybe has to be careful of a potential dive, but Rel coming back in, traps there to cut off Turtle, maybe looking to roam through, and CLG just going to leave the bottom lane as is. No need to really look for anything here. It is, again, going to be Finn, the player to watch here for these next few minutes. CLG actually up pretty significantly in gold as a result of all their early game. A dragon and 2,000 gold at just over 10 minutes is real nice, and that has not really been a problem for CLG.
No, I mean, their early games have been good. They've gotten so many first bloods. They're not always dominating in early game gold, to be fair, but their first bloods in particular have been really strong, and this team has been improving week over week. They've gotten a lot better, especially since they got Pobelter and Broxah back in the mix. I think Pobelter has been such a catalyst for this team, offering a lot of what they were missing when they were playing with RJS, kind of that veteran leadership, helping them to close out some games, having some strong individual performances, and pretty clever drafting here today, I've got to say. I really do think that not many people would have seen the actual flex of the Aurelia coming in. Pick that last, move Pobelter to Renekton mid. I think it's pretty clever, and the fact that they have the Nidalee who can now play around these two aggressive solo lanes and is doing a good job doing it has been really fun to watch thus far.
Yeah, but kind of to your early point, even before, CLG kind of got the gang together, with Finn's arrival, I think he has been CLG's best performing player across the course of the year so far, and clearly showing that in this 1v1, up almost 30 CS on the Aurelia, closing in on his first item as Jizuke continues to push in POB, but POB's been just fine actually. Again, that teleport for the kills he got, definitely helpful along with that assist goal at level 1, but even despite all that, right, you're not expecting to outpush the Ryze with blue buff, but Pobelter just knows all he has to do is keep up in farm.
Yep, exactly. He's going to be pretty comfortable. The only thing is, now that he has these levels, I was kind of talking about this in Champ Select. Once you have enough levels and you have some items, you can kind of just perma-push very heavily on the mid lane, and then it becomes really telegraphed when the jungler's around, right? Because it's like, as the melee champion against Ryze, you can't just stand in the mini wave and posture all the time, or you'll just get AoE damage coming through from the Ryze, right? He'll just splash the Q on you and you'll take free poke. So really the only time you're going to move forward then is when you have someone around to actually gank or to protect you, and then that becomes a very obvious tell for the Ryze who can play around it.
Almost mega here, but Impact going to get dove on. Finn just, I think, waiting out the timer. Indeed gets it, but now Svenskeren going to be up here. Ulti from Impact. Svenskeren there as Finn's going to have to dance his way out, but so many Qs. The TP again, it's deja vu as here comes Jizuke, and that's going to put an end to the play as Finn gets feared up by Hecarim, taken out by Svenskeren, and now Pobelter in a 1v3 that he cannot win, but he might be able to live as Impact gets the Q landing in, but not enough slows to stop the Croc. Still, EG respond to top lane.
Yeah, good TP response there from Pobelter, but this time the Realm Warp was in as well from Jizuke, so they show up, they have the extra member up there, and they're able to get a kill. Big for them as the bot lane rotated up to mid, trying to cover there, trying to push in, but again, this does leave Wild Turtle alone in bot lane, who's getting an XP advantage, and now it's Finn teleporting in. He does have flash.
Phase rush though for Jizuke, baits the flash. Finn lining up the stun. Blade the Rune King popped as well. Lands the stun, gets the WQ is good. Oh. Who's going to grab it? It is Pobelter, but that dive was a little too far as Finn's forced to trade his life. In fact, Pobelter is going to die as a result, so Jizuke buying the time he needed makes it a 2-for-1 trade.
Yeah, Jizuke able to get the empowered root under the tower there to help turn it around, and then CLG just hard commit to getting the kill. The initial play did look good for them, but a bit of an overextension, and Impact played this out quite well. Finn doing the best that he can, buying time, trying to dodge around, utilizing those Q resets to avoid skill shots, but Svenskeren still had the ulti, timed it perfectly as Pobelter came in, lands the double fear, Jizuke on the Realm Warp, and as soon as he arrives as well, there's really no chance at a turnaround. Then Jizuke on the overstay, wanted to get a turret play here. Flashes early, you've got to wait for the second activation of the stun. But fortunately for him, it actually kind of works out because he barely survives long enough, gets the flash out of Finn even, overcommitting to get that kill. Pobelter gives up a shutdown. Finn dies for it, so yes, Jizuke could have just flashed the E and avoided that, but the misplay ended up actually working out for him. It ends up being an outplay.
It's always nice when things work out. Imagine Finn did not have Q available, because that would have been a much simpler scenario, although you did say he was rooted, so maybe just couldn't move. Spamming that Q key as hard as you can, unfortunately, doesn't make it happen if you're still CC'd. Regardless, Jizuke doing well to ensure that trade happened. Finn now out of resources, apart from his own individual strength and skill on the champion. Impact again, still down about 20 CS, so Finn feeling pretty good here, but as the lanes are going to swap back around for perhaps his second Rift Herald play, Impact knows all he has to do is absorb the pressure. In fact, Svenskeren's here as well to try and punish, and Finn, no flash, does get the stun, sees Svenskeren and walks out slowly.
If the Gnar ever moves towards you like that, you know someone is there, though. It's so obvious because all he's doing the whole game is just hiding, right? You have completed Blade of the Rune King. He's just got a couple little pieces of items, so Finn is so much stronger in the 1v1. There's no way that Impact wants to fight him without his jungler there, without a support there, to make it a 2v1 situation. So Finn just reading that as soon as Gnar walks forward, you walk back. And just wait until Gnar is playing defensively again. Try to push your advantage here, as this tower only has a couple autos of health on it. Impact's got to be careful.
Ulti lands, but Impact jumps out early, does have his flash as well, so not that easy for Finn to follow. As I say that, Aurelia dashes through the mending wave and closes the gap very quickly, but Finn not going to die of fear, not having any vision. Impact also building up rage. So instead it will be a play here for the Herald, as both teams converge here for the objective. But Svenskeren definitely and Ignar lining up for this 3v3, and Jizuke is the one leaning closer right now. Although we can see Turtle also able to join the fray pretty soon, although Impact's walking up. Finn no TP, so not sure CLG can fight here, but Smoothie's going to go in. Ignar's the target. Impact, though, zoning them out there as POB can't make his way into the fight, and the Rift Herald is going to reset. That's a tragedy.
Oh, that sucks. And now Finn could actually maybe get here in time. CLG is considering re-engaging. They were going to back it up and just give this up. It looks like EG still should be able to get it, though, but at the very least, Wild Turtle is hitting mid lane tower, and CLG can look to zone them away from him, potentially.
Yeah, got the Herald, but CLG may be looking for the exits there, so Turtle gets jumped on there by Svenskeren. Not really much you can do against the Hecarim here as he's running the wrong way. Turtle's going to get feared up, shot down by the Jhin, and shut down by Svenskeren.
Yeah, I think that's one where you just take the L and just die. Don't even bother flashing, because Powelter doesn't have TP. All you could do is just chip away at that tower, and as soon as the rest of his team is backing off there, they can't actually zone EG away from the play. Turtle needed to back off much earlier, and once you're caught at that point, there's no escaping. You're flashing into the enemy side of the map and giving up your flash, which is a very important playmaking tool for Samir, who has to be able to be aggressive to get the resets in these team fights, to set up the ultimate to really pop off. So pretty big mistake there from Wild Turtle. The fact that he had a shutdown due to farm is also a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it just feels like, dash on them and emote and walk away at that point here. Turtle definitely wasn't getting out of that one, as Brox are going to go ahead and keep clearing that jungle. Been pretty speedy on the Needly, but Svenskeren been a lot more impactful, scoreline-wise at least. 3-1 and 2 right now on the Hecarim. Feeling pretty good with the Temkank and the Moon Pants already built up. So see how Pobelter does in the sidelines. It is a bit different when you have something like double TP Renekton Aurelia, not the usual solo lane comp, but we know Finn's goal is to bully Impact for as long as possible, so Impact gonna have to be a bit careful, but does have Jizuke coming up his lane right now.
Yeah, he will have to be careful, and one of the things that CLG does have as an advantage is they have the extra TP, right? So you want to continue to play these side lanes and try to tax the teleport out of Impact, because then you can send the opposite member here, and Impact's just trying to bait for Jizuke.
Bait successful, but the damage is still there. Mininar is not very taken, but the Everfrost is so good as Jizuke finds the kill.
Ah, you can see the frustration on Finn's face. The empowered root followed up by the Everfrost. You're locked down for so long as Finn just barely could not connect back onto Impact there and get the kill. And Impact does have the successful bait, but on the top side, because they were in that 1-3-1, two solo laners go to answer and kill off Finn, so they lose the tower up to Pobelter. And this is what CLG wants to do. They want to continue spreading the map, attacking EG, trying to draw multiple members and utilize their TP advantage because Jizuke had to play cleanse this game.
All right, well, Herald is going to go ahead and take out the mid-outer, so EG going to even up the turret score there, as well as the gold still staying pretty even. I think we've long crowned Ignar, though, the hide-and-seek champion of the LCS. I feel like Impact's coming for the title, Azael, because he has been so slippery, just baiting Finn and Pobelter into all these different plays, despite, again, how rough it has been in the early stages of his lane, as EG looking to try and zone off the area around this Drake, want to pick up this first cloud for themselves.
I feel like what Impact's doing, baiting is less hide and seek and more like tag or something, Right. You're trying to bait them to actually chase you and make you it, but we'll see exactly how they're going to play out the rest of this, as EG in an okay position. CLG still up slightly in gold. Overall, very even game here. I think largely it's going to depend if they can try to get Finn into a successful situation, because despite the early lead, despite the first blood, since getting that first blood, he has died 4 straight times. And Broxa did have some early pressure around mid, around top, but I want to see Broxa or Pobelter or Smoothie. Someone has got to be shadowing Finn, because EG are playing around the fact that Finn wants to play aggressive, that he knows that he wins in the 1v1, and they're just getting him into these situations where he's pushing and they're punishing him, and no one is behind him. If you push to the tower and they come in with the Hecarim and you have a Nidalee right behind you, you win that fight. That is still playing from a position of power, and I think that's what we really need to see CLG do.
Yeah, whether it's extra champions or vision or both, CLG certainly could set Finn up better, especially if they're going to be locked into this 1-3-1 for a while, which you have to think they will, given the champions they have drafted. Mid lane outer still up though for EG, which is going to make that mission quite a bit trickier on the CLG side. And EG just kind of happy to let the game scale up there. They've got 2 Drakes, stopped any potential snowball long ago now, as Ignar is just busy clearing out whatever you can in the Baron Pit. Did miss one. That's okay. He'll be back in a moment alongside Svenskeren.
You can see that Finn is now expecting to answer Jizuke a lot more, so building towards the Wit's End second, that is going to help him a lot less against the Dinar, of course, but it is a very effective item as far as the 1v1s, you know, getting a lot of MR in there. Pobelter, going to get caught out here potentially, but will retreat.
Hits all the buttons, still gets rooted at the end of it all. Rel diving in, the root there onto the front side for Sven, though. It's still 4v3 under the tower. Sven's game with the ulti, gives definitely the kill, but Impact's here. Trying to finish off more. The shutdown though for Broxalands. Zhonya's has popped for the stasis, but now the rest of CLG reinforced. Wild Turtle looking to dive in onto Impact. Finn here as well, needs to pick a target as the bullets out of Jin do actually kill Pobelter. As now the root lands on Finn himself, as definitely has actually done very well in this team fight. And EG, sorry, despite the way it started, do end it well as well.
Man, Ignar actually had such a sick little play in that. He had the dismount on his W, right? And you go for the remount and you get this little mini flip. He actually flipped Finn out of his Q, denying him the Q reset there, denying him the ability to actually close the gap to Impact and potentially kill him off. And now Impact TPing back in, looking for the chase. I don't know if they can continue, though.
Impact though getting dove on Turtle, gonna pop the ulti, gets the kill on Impact! And that's CLG turning it around, but now Jizuke is gonna look to try and get a trade kill, but now Finn's here in a literal 1v5 as the rest of them TP in, and CLG are running straight to Baron.
EG just sprinted it down mid lane, and CLG very likely will get the Baron off of this. Way over aggressive. The style bar was fully charged up for the passive, and now it's going to be up to Svenskeren to try to get a steal, but he doesn't have ultimate, he doesn't have flash, there's no way to get into the pit because the blast cone's not even there. It's just a free Baron off of a huge overextension there from Impact and Jizuke trying to chase that kill, but the ulti was ready, and we can watch this top lane play one more time. The dive here, very aggressive from EG. They saw that Finn was down on the bottom side, and this makes them want to go for it. And now track this initial play. You know, once Finn comes in, look at Ignar. So he's actually trying to get over onto Impact, and Ignar flips him out of the queue there, saving Impact, keeping him alive. But unfortunately for Ignar, Impact TP's back into mid lane right after, and I'm not sure if we're going to see that play, but you've got to be so respectful to Samira if she has the fully charged passive and you do not have a CC ready to stop it, right? And because Impact is TPing in with no Mega Gnar Rage, as this actually charges up, he's ready for the ult. You're still not actually in Mega. You have no ability to stun that out. Jizuke was not there at the same time, so they're really over chasing. They had no forward vision. They both die off. They give the Baron, and now Jizuke's dead too.
Oh, Flash, what a setup there by Finn. A Smoothie collects the kill. Are you serious?
Bloodthirsty supports there. Kill secured.
It was secured as Pobelter's chasing down Svenskeren. Absolutely zero chance. Not even Chem Tank. That was just the patch of cloud on the ground and the Hecarim E as at least Svenskeren's going to be safe. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Jizuke. 2 plays in a row now as CLG are still pressuring with this Baron.
Yeah, they are pressuring very heavily, and EG went from a position where it felt like they had regained control of the game, where they grabbed themselves a couple of dragons, you know, they were getting pretty comfortable in those side lanes, to a really difficult spot now. Finn is unanswered in that bottom lane. Impact is trading back on that top side, though. Is going to be able to get that top lane tier 2, it looks like. They will trade that for the bot lane one. Finn heading back to base now. And Jizuke's going to have to be really, really careful because there is a lot of CC out of these solo laners as well. You know, generally speaking, Ryzes can feel fairly safe in the side lane because you have that realm warp. If someone's coming in, you just try to realm warp to safety. But Aurelia has a stun, Renekton has a stun. If Nautilus is there, you can't actually utilize the realm warp either. So he's got to really make sure he has eyes on a lot of these CLG members when he's pushing far out.
All right, well, CLG going to take the 4th Drake of the game here and finally get themselves their own Cloud to pair alongside their Ocean. So still a long way away from the Soul. 25 minutes through. Game's been very back and forth, but CLG holding a decent gold lead, 2,500 gold right now, thanks mostly to the Baron that is now wearing off in about 20 seconds. So map's going to pretty much reset here, as the towers in fact are even, and Svenskeren stealing away whatever minions he can.
Going to be grabbing as much as he possibly can. Well, CLG, the Baron buff will expire. It's about that 2,000 gold lead, you know, is what they actually got from it. So No lethal damage dealt whatsoever, so EG's still hanging on here and do have a pretty powerful team composition, a lot of engage. Ryze skills incredibly well, and with the Everfrost, it's going to be pretty difficult for a lot of these low-range and melee champions to actually close the gap on him in a team fight. Ignar is also playing Exhaust, which is going to be really effective in these later stages where you see a lot of people going Ignite, obviously, for the additional kill pressure in lane and all-ins. When there's Aurelia, Renekton, even Samira, who have to really get up close and personal to deal that damage, Exhaust is going to be super powerful and almost always is worth more than the Ignite late game.
Absolutely. As EG, I think, certainly looking for some sort of big 5v5 team fight, whereas Finn is going to be stuck for as long as he can be in the long lane down bot side, as it is nice to see CLG not just put champions down towards that side, but also get some vision down for Finn as well. So a lot more safety, although he is going to join his team, because I guess they want to get vision of this left side of the map here. Baron not up for 2 minutes, so no hurry to set up for these objectives, but CLG at least trying to set things up here. Pobelta going to get flanked by 1, 2, 3 champions on the EG side. Dashes out towards his team, though. Now's the TP on the other side. Jizuke is there to meet that as POB lines it up. Finn, though, going to get in there with the ulti, but he's going to get rooted up forever. Definitely is able to get that kill now. POB just a punching bag at the front side as everyone's going to descend on top. POB does flash up, but Impact finds him over the wall with the flash scoop, and now the Rift Realm Warp is going to get everybody else involved. It's Turtle trying to fight his way up, but Smoothie being a decent frontliner. Ulti actually is good for Turtle after he win walls it, but he can't quite get enough damage down. Jizuke gets a double kill, gonna make it an extra there as CLG only have Broxah left to play with. A triple for Jizuke as Broxah is gonna have to run for the hills, and Jizuke, I don't think he's gonna let him out of this one alive. No flash, no hope, as definitely gonna have to wait. But the kill goes over, the trap is set, and Jizuke gonna grab the 4th kill for the shutdown and the Bud Light ace.
Nicely done there from EG. The CC layering on Finn. Oh, it looks so painful. As he doesn't have Merc Treads here, he did go Tabbies, which is going to be very effective against the Gnar and the Hecarim earlier on. We can watch this, the Bud Light ace on the replay here. They just turn, they converge onto Finn. It's the root from the Ryze, the Everfrost root, the Jhin root, the Fear from the Hecarim, everything layered. Just let the man play. Finn just wanted to play some League of Legends, but they wouldn't let him. And the Realm Warp to corral the rest of them. Jizuke getting in there, winning skirmishes on both sides was EG, and despite the fact that Svenskeren did go down to Broxah, the Ryze is just running rampant through this fight. They still have their 3 carries alive here, and there was no way out for Broxah, as Jizuke always still had the flash if they needed it. So did Deftly. The fact that their 2 carries remaining had those summoners available, even at the end of this all-out brawl, is pretty huge.
May very well be the world's fastest Ryze as well. Jizuke, not just with the Everfrost Slayer, everyone else damage. That's 8,000 damage. Not bad, as we say. Pobelta actually putting in work.
Oh my god, 8,000 damage in one team fight. Late game has arrived, and bad news gets worse when you realize he just got 4 more kills. He was a 1 in 4 Ryze, just did casual 8,000 damage in that team fight. CLG committed the cardinal sin of allowing a Ryze game to go 30 minutes, and now they're being punished.
All right, well, not even actually an objective to take for 50 seconds on the right side of the map. Baron is up now, of course, his team's a little jostle for positioning, but Jizuke didn't have a Void Staff before that fight ended. Now has one finished to go alongside that Cosmic Drive, which alongside the Cloud Drake, and Phase Rush is making him awfully speedy. The root still lands because Jhin W working just like it should against Windwall and similar effects, but thankfully no follow-up there under Turtle, who does need to stay alive if CLG are going to have hope of winning any sort of extended battle.
EG going to be heading down towards this Cloud Dragon. Very likely it's up in 15 seconds here, and CLG haven't really been able to get any sort of side lane advantages. You know, they have been pushing out the side lanes, trying to get into the 1-3-1, but they haven't been able to force cross-map plays. They haven't been able to actually tax the teleport there from Impact to create a side lane advantage where they could then TP across the map and create a 5v4. So what they're trying to do now is threaten a possible counter Baron, but EG is making the correct response, which is just send one person to solo Dragon. The other 4 watch and make sure that the other team is not going to do Baron while that happens. And Jizuke can always Realm Warp back to his team with the level 3 Realm Warp very, very easily. So well handled there by EG. And as a result, they're just going to continue closing in on this game. It feels like CLG have got to find some sort of an outplay, got to find something happening in a side lane. because if you can't find some sort of multi-pronged flank, there's so much CC over on EG, and it's so difficult for these carries to actually get through all that and really get damage out.
Yeah, I mean, for all the games for Jizuke to not be able to take teleport, this is one that's much easier for Ryze, not just because of his ultimate, because it's a Cloud Rift, and he's just got so much movement speed in general, so he scoops up these waves, he's running back and forth between lanes, he almost doesn't need it, he's zooming around the map.
Cosmic Drive is really nice as well, the flat move speed. He's level 17 as well at this point, so you're getting even more from that. And he is going to be working towards that 6th item death cap, very far ahead of the pace of this game when you look at the items at this point. He's way up in farm. Really across the board, EG does have a lot of item advantages that are starting to come through here. So they are looking pretty darn good, but gold is even, and it's likely just going to come down to the execution.
Impact getting stunned, but he's about to go Mega, needs to hit it pretty quickly though, but Jizuke's here, of course he is, as Impact just collects Finn, who dove in a little too far. Now the Realm Warp gonna put everybody else in there, as Smoothie gonna be left out to dry. Ignar with a long range attract repel for the stun, and he killed Impact hilariously, but unfortunately for CLG, it's just a consolation prize. EG goes straight to Baron.
Yeah, they're gonna get the 2-for-1. Impact maybe didn't need to take the Realm Warp, it was just the support.
Yeah.
He was very low, but does go through, dying with the squad, and it's gonna be up to Broxa here for some heroics. Wild Turtle is around as well, but the problem is Ignar, both summoners, has the ulti, so it's so tough to get into that pit without getting engaged on. And
Jizuke's found it, but the Zonya is going to keep him alive a little longer. Turtle going to need to save the back end of the fight. There's POB getting big. Turtle found the shutdown. Now Pobelta is going to force Jizuke out, and Svenskaren's been completely zoned out of the pit. And CLG, they're trying to finish the Baron. It's 3v3 style, still charged up as Turtle dancing around on his Sven. Pobelta going to get it. Svenskaren going to go down. And now Jizuke zoned off by Turtle. Broxa trying to solo finish the Baron as Ignar wrapping around the side, but Brox is running out of health. He's not that tanky. It's AP Nidalee.
Oh, here comes
TP back in for CLG, but the Baron is CLG's as EG try and save it, but now Smoothie once again. Oh, that's so rude. That's so rude. As Smoothie gonna delay it for as long as he can to give Turtle another kill. That is a true support right there.
That is hilarious. He just walks up. He's just like, bro, you okay? You see me here?
No, he's not okay.
So, the initial play way back when, a couple minutes ago, they get the kill on Finn, locking him down again. The Realm Warp for the follow-up was good, but Smoothie, a nice counter kill here on Impact, which actually ended up being very important, because had Impact just been able to base and TP back in, this play would have been that much more secure. EG want to set up for the turn, but part of the problem is, I think they underestimated how threatening this would be. Like, look at Jizuke just chilling in the pit. He didn't actually come out for the turn. I think he was saying, all right, I'm going to stay on Baron. I'm going to keep that leash. I'll get it low. You guys win the fight. Then we turn around and we finish the Baron. But what actually happened was Deathly just gets jumped on, burst down pretty much instantly. And then because it was not a coordinated turn, the rest of them just end up dying off. And by the time Jizuke actually joined the fight, there was no fight to win anymore. So a pretty bad mismanagement there from EG. I think if you turn truly as a 4-man squad and all go in, you win that fight.
All right, well, CLG have the Baron, and Finn also got 1,000 extra gold that we didn't spot before, but now Pobelta still trying to frontline. That shield is absolutely massive as Impact has found the ulti onto Turtle, I believe. He's now going to get resurrected because the GA's popped, but CLG need to save this carry. Finn knows it, dives in there with the ulti, but the shutdown's still there for Jizuke. CLG still trying to fight their way out, but Ryze is popping absolutely off in this fight, but Jizuke still hasn't found enough as Finn is trying as he might to save the fight, but he's not going to be able to do it. It is just Smoothie and Broxa left alive as EG stave off the Baron push with CLG.
Yeah, and again, Jizuke, I want to see how much damage he did in that fight, because it must have been a lot. As CLG are going on to Impact and Svenskaren, they're trying to kill off the front line, but because they are such a low-range composition, you naturally stack up as you attack those targets, and you just get cleaved down by Jizuke, who has so much AoE damage being fired out constantly in these fights. He is just crushing through. And we can watch this one more time. Again, EG being proactive. They're the ones coming out with the engage. Pobelter, a nice turn on, definitely pushing him back, but Impact gets the big stun onto Samira. They turn immediately on him. Svenskaren had saved the ulti. They land that there. And this is what I'm talking about. Jizuke here, as everyone funnels up, they're all getting hit by the splash damage over and over. 500 on multiple members. They're bouncing back and forth. 550 again, hitting multiple members. back-to-back EQs there was 2,000 damage from him. And now he has the death cap completed as well. It is going to be ridiculous. Yeah.
It is!
My God.
It's over 9,000 as hell! All right, EG going to take the dragon. That's the soul, by the way.
Yeah,
that's their reward for winning a team fight.
Doesn't surprise me when I realized that he did 2,000 damage with 2 Qs during that fight. You're like, well, he cast more than 2 Qs. 2 Qs is 2,000 damage, so Ryze damage numbers looking pretty good. That's the danger, man. If you are stacking up as a melee comp, you better be stacking up on the Ryze and instantly killing him, or he is going to just explode your whole team, and now it's going to be so much worse. He even has an elixir on top of that, plus the death cap. He's at 1,043 AP. This is like one of those YouTube videos. 1K, 1,000 AP, Ryze, one shot, 1v9, LCS build. Here it is.
It's not YouTube though, Zale. This is real life. As EG looking to turn this game back around once again. It has been such a battle between these two squads. But EG, they've got the Hecarim Rel, they've got the absolutely behemoth level Ryze. YouTube level Ryze, I guess, at this point. And just really have to win one more fight. Don't get somebody caught out. Don't let Finn 1v1 a carry. Don't let Jizuke die somehow despite being seemingly unkillable and having an amazing front line. CLG are going to have to find their way in. It's going to be tricky, but it is possible.
Yeah, it is possible. We've seen them come out on top in some of the skirmishes, and if EG is separated at all, I think a lot of the 1v1s and 2v2s are more winnable for CLG. Whereas EG wants to really kind of function as a full 5-man squad. And when they are functioning as a full 5-man squad, there's just so much AoE CC between the Rel, between the Hecarim Fear, between the Everfrost, the Meganar, the Wallop, and it makes it so difficult not only for the melee champions, which I've talked about a lot, but also how do you ever get off a full channel ultimate as Samira? That's kind of what you need to do to have a real pop-off team fight, but everyone can interrupt it. It's so damn hard for Wild Turtle, so that's why you would rather have, these 1v1s, 2v2s, where it's like, okay, I gotta outplay one thing or 2 things, because you can't outplay every CC that EG has. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, and EG have done such a good job of sticking together, of punishing the side lane plays that CLG have made for the most part. And again, with no vision and no map control, it's just even harder for CLG to try and do that here. So EG looking to try and put the finishing touches on this game. They can go back to Baron in about 35 seconds if they want. There'll be an Elder Dragon in 3.5 minutes if the teams are interested in that. But I'm going to guess that EG probably want this game to end sooner rather than later, given how things have been going in the later stages of this game.
Yeah, it has been pretty crazy. Svenskeren on a potential flank here. CLG 5-man mid trying to push out. They're worried about the side lane engage, and that's been problematic for them as well, is that when they go to split push in the side lane, they're often getting picked off by, Realm Warp engage or a Hecarim engage, and that's denying them what would otherwise be their win condition of getting these 1-3-1s, but they're on impact. He's about to mega.
Grab. Yeah, this could be bad for the other side. There's CLG about to get Rel, not combo. What an ulti out of Svenskeren, definitely blows into pieces, and they barely even need Jizuke, but he will clean up the fight. POB, his Guardian Angel will be pop. Brox are left alone. As he's going to fall down, Jizuke on a rampage definitely grabs the 4th, and now Finn, the only one left alive, as the Realm Warp is going to get everybody into the base, as Finn will be aced. He shuts down Jizuke, a valiant effort, but EG are going to pick up this game. They just need to do a little bit more administration on the CLG structures.
Jin, 4 kills there in the final fight for EG. They're going to clean this one up. They got the Bud Light ace. The game is theirs.
And you can see Finn's face there in the player cam. It was his game to carry, but unfortunately for him, it is EG that emerged victorious. It may not matter for the playoff standings, but it does matter moving into summer, and EG will feel good riding into playoffs with a very dramatic win under the belt. And Jizuke showing once again that, hey, I play champions that a lot of you don't play. Maybe you should ban them, as EG take out CLG.
Yeah, the Ryze is looking pretty good from Jizuke. What a monster game from him. But across the board, I think EG had very good team play here. CLG had some strong moments, and yes, EG did make some mistakes, but overall, a really strong showing here from EG. You know, they built for the 5v5. They built to actually have so much AoE engage, so much AoE CC here, and it was really, really effective against what CLG brought to the table. I think CLG had a pretty clever draft. You know, they created some 1v1 advantages. They created a lot of pressure on the top side. It just felt like they failed to have the follow through to the next step, where they were then getting caught out in these side lanes, and they needed to have the extra man behind them to make it 2v2s instead of just 2v1s on Finn getting killed off over and over. You either have to have the vision to protect those laners once they have a lead, or you have to have the jungler shadowing them or the support shadowing them or something, because CLG just wasn't able to get the advantages in the side lanes despite the fact that they had winning 1v1s.
Certainly seemed like it was a game that they could get. It does feel like in some ways like a microcosm almost of like CLG's whole development cycle, this split. I've had a lot of good moments, especially in the early game. That first blood tally is still sky high if you're buying that stock. But it just feels like, again, they are capable of playing lots of different things. I think everyone on this team can have their moment and potentially carry. Unfortunately, did not execute on Fid's side lane that game, and EG just knew how to clean that game up from there. We are going to be stepping away, but after the break, we are going to be talking with none other than Jizuke in our Verizon post-game interview.
Welcome back to the LCS and the Verizon post-game interview here with Jizuke after the win over CLG. Right off the top, Jizuke, it's a bit of a cheeky question, I know, but talk to me about that first blood, because it happened fast. Did that one catch you off guard with the flash hook?
Yeah, it catch me off guard, but it's something I think that it was to be expected. I think they just watched my level ones every single game, and I think I'm running mid every game. I would assume if they did so. So yeah, it was good analyst by their side, right? They just start
Alright, so maybe-
position level 1 and they punish the. It will be the last time I will get caught.
that was going to be my next comment. Maybe.
I mean, honestly, it was first blood and I also flashed, so it was like really mental boom, you know.
Yeah, mental boom, you say, but the recovery from the team was phenomenal from there, and that's part of what I want to talk about. With this comeback victory, you guys finished the regular season on a 2-1 week, so a high note in that regard. How are you feeling about the performance of the team ramping up here towards playoffs?
I think I can speak for everyone, but I think it feels sad to be in this position because we are 6th and we aimed for so much more. But we locked playoffs, so that's the important one, right? But I think so many games we would have just won and they were in our hands and we just threw them. So yeah, it feels a bit bad, but yeah, we are going to take it and show up in playoffs.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you think are those pieces of the gameplay that may have played into a record that you don't seem too happy with? What would you look to improve upon before we get to those best of fives?
I mean, it's just I think as a team we have a really good early game, and then sometimes we do mistakes mid game or at Herald or something like that, you know. So like I don't know, I can remember the 2 Instas games we lost them randomly, 2 Immortal games, 1 game against TSM. I mean, actually all our losses, I think we were besides 1 Immortal game where they played the Tristana mid and I played LeBlanc. Other than that one, I think every game besides that was winnable. So just we made a lot of mistakes and we know about them, and yeah, we just keep improving every week.
I mean, every single EG game is exciting, to say the least, and I think part of that excitement comes from some of the champions that you've been bringing out into the mid lane. You're the only mid laner in the LCS this split to have played Echo so far. You've also brought back the Ryze more recently, and we saw those ults playing a big part in the comeback today. How do you feel your champion pool differs maybe from the rest of the mid laners in the league, and how does that give your team advantages that others might not have?
Yeah, I think going to this year, I just wanted to play every style in the mid lane. I played all the control mages at least once. I think I played around 4 or 5 games. Played Ryze Echo, I played Dion. I can play Lucian Tristan, but the chance has not come yet. I don't know, I just wanted to play every champion and be a threat to when people is drafting against me. They don't know what I'm going to do. That's about it, yeah.
Well, my last question before I let you go is looking towards playoffs, bouncing off the fact that you said you felt so many more of the games over the split were winnable. How does that then make you feel about playoff chances, even though you are going to be fighting from that 6th place position?
Yeah, I think just we're really fighting only against ourselves, honestly. If we just fix our mistakes, it's going to be not easy, but it's like all games are winnable against any team. Like I don't think anyone is especially good. Maybe especially excluded Cloud9. Like every team is beatable, really like simple way, you know. Like even yesterday, I think a game could have been in our hands if we just did the basic right. Early game, I don't know, like. Level 3 Nar was double, level 5 it was double, the Herald play could have been better. Many things can just, if you fix them, then suddenly we win the game in 10 minutes, you know. So, yeah, I think we are just going to look to fix our early game problems and Herald problems, mid-game problems, and we're going to come strong in the playoffs, yeah.
Alrighty, well, I look forward to that fight that you'll bring in the postseason, and wait to see which team will be the first that you'll have to play when we get to those best of fives. But as we head back to the State Farm analyst, that's Jizuke, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you for the interview.
Thank you, Dash, and thank you, Jizuke. He has his eyes on improvement in the future, but I am excited a little bit at his expense because guess what, everybody? As far as we can tell, we now hold a global record for fastest first blood.
That's right. Both teams running straight down the middle, the shortest lane in the game, and then instantly flashing a kill. You really could not get both teams to agree to kill someone this fast, even if you tried to get it. Unfortunately, though, Jizuke died, but his recovery was phenomenal, right? He was the hard carry with the over 9,000 team fight and whatnot, so very strong mental from him.
I mean, I think we can just say it's the fastest of all time globally. I mean, we don't have that 100% checked yet, but someone can correct us if we're wrong. I just can't imagine it being any faster because there's the home guard buff here. So you get to sprint down mid lane, the shortest lane, with this buff on, flash Nautilus hook. Like, you would have to try an int to be faster, like a Rammus with TP to mid lane turret to run into the enemy teams. Like, I just don't ever see that happening. So not only is this probably the fastest currently, unless there's a system change, I can't imagine it ever getting broken either. So, you know, this is a Guinness Book of World Records kind of thing. Hold it up. Congrats, CLG.
I think that was one of the most fun parts about it, figuring out exactly what would happen to even try to beat this record. And we came up with a loss. So maybe on social media, if you have any ideas on what could possibly beat that time. But that was just the kickoff of this game. Because, Emily, if we're looking at the rest of it, it's not like the action stopped.
Yeah, this game was, as they say, a banger. We had a lot of kills to start off the game. I think if you're going to have a game like this where it doesn't matter for spring playoff standings, but I was wondering how each of these teams would approach this match since the overall standings do get rolled into summer. I think both teams took this seriously, but I also do think they were playing a little bit fast and loose, sometimes going for a lot of kills. This is the kind of game that I am always, incredibly entertained by. One thing I do want to point out as a follow-up to something I said yesterday on the AD with that kind of cheesy lane swap that EG did, sticking Jizuke on the Nico top. I think this, with him in the mid lane on something he can playmake on from the short lane, really showcases what he can bring to a team in terms of using that Ryze Global Ultimate, trying to affect not just side lanes, but like repositioning his team in team fights for picks, in skirmishes, reorganizing a team fight to give them the advantage, so then definitely can just fire from the backline on the Jhin. I really liked watching Jizuke play, and I also think this is, in comparison to yesterday's game, this is a reason why he does so well from the short lane, especially with a global ultimate like the Ryze.
I think to your point, and that it got fast and loose, is that CLG's comp was going to just get outscaled because of how good Ryze is dealing with melee champions trying to dive. Renekton and Irelia against an Everfrost Ryze, good luck trying to get onto him. We saw later into the game how difficult it was. Even the champion like Samira can't really get in. The Nidalee has no time to pounce in, so they needed to snowball very quickly. And EG, as long as they kept relatively close in the game, they would be able to win eventually once the game got to those 5v5s. And I think that's part of what Jizuke brings to the table that some teams are having a hard time dealing with. No one's really having the same champion pool that he has. You heard it. Ryze, Echo, Yone. No one else is doing that.
Nico
yeah, he had
top.
the control mages, but you're putting him on his comfort, and his comfort is quite unique.
Yeah.
You mentioned some of those aspects that did work out for EG when you're looking at the game in its entirety. Mark, let's focus on how EG was able to actually clinch this victory.
Well, it was a lot of what team fighting. It wasn't like there was a single play, that got them back in the game. This was a game that was bloody as hell. I mean, it was like 48 kills or something by the end of the game. I don't exactly remember. There were a number of Baron situations that CLG flubbed pretty hard. I think you would look at as why EG was able to come back and eventually get to that point. They outscaled, as Crumbs was talking about, like the range of some of the champs. And from there, it was pretty easy to execute in their team fights because, like Crumbs is saying, you have a ton of CC, you have Gnar ult as long as he's actually mega for it. Just so many tools to deal with CLG's comp. And able to close this one out, but a lot of things to work on heading into postseason for EG there.
I just want to say, as an aside, I really like seeing more NA teams play around with range. Obviously, we had a lot of AD carry bans in this game, and CLG, as Crumbs already pointed out, had a very short range comp. But I like seeing stuff like the Jhin come out and seeing teams try to set up. I think they had pretty good setup for Definitely in this as well. So I want to see more long range comps, maybe.
That hasn't been a
Maybe.
shortage of some experimentation from some of these teams later on in the regular season. We like to see it. We do still have one more game coming up, and this is an epic one with some postseason implications as Cloud9 are facing off against Immortals to hopefully clinch their #1 spot. You don't want to miss it. We don't want to miss it. We'll see you on the other side of this break.